Original post, October 18, 2024. My husband Robbie, 26 male, and I, 26 female, got married earlier this year. It was a beautiful day and I felt so much love and support from both sides of our family. 2 months after our wedding day, we celebrated my birthday at my in-laws' house. It was nothing major, just a dinner and a night together with me, my husband, his mom, in her 50s female, dad in his 50s male, and sister, 22 female. That is the first night I noticed them referring to me as Robbie's best friend. After my birthday dinner, we were all sitting together in the living room, just chatting and having some drinks. That's when my sister-in-law got a phone call from a good friend of hers. When she answered the phone and her friend asked what she was doing, she replied that it was her brother's best friend's birthday. I had never heard anyone refer to me as Robbie's best friend. I am his wife, and before that we were engaged for over 2 years. Hearing my sister-in-law refer to me like that confused me greatly. I always refer to her as my sister-in-law, and I would expect her to do the same. Or maybe even as Robbie's wife, but certainly not best friend. After my sister-in-law hung up her phone, I asked her why she referred to me the way she did. She did not seem at all abashed. She just said, "Well, you are best friends. And that's what mom and dad call you," referring to mother-in-law and father-in-law. My sister-in-law and I are by no means very close, but we are nice to each other and have never had any fights. We just don't hang out outside of family functions because our personalities are pretty different. She's never made it seem like she was annoyed or mad at me. I decided to let it go that night, even though it weirded me out. But then it all happened again a few days ago, which is why I'm writing this post. My mother-in-law and I both work in the same industry doing similar jobs, but at different companies in the area. Sometimes our companies collaborate when we have clients who switch over. This week we had that happen, and I had to pay a visit to my mother-in-law's office to help a client transition. My mother-in-law was in the office, so I stopped by to say hello. While I was there she introduced me to her colleague, and once again I was perplexed by how she did it. She said, "This is my son's best friend." As I was shaking hands with the colleague, I paused and awkwardly said, "I'm his wife." The colleague looked confused, but my mother-in-law continued to smile and didn't address it. Once we were alone I asked my mother-in-law why she referred to me like that. Just like my sister-in-law, she didn't seem to act like it was weird at all, and said the same thing, "Well, you are best friends." The only thing that I can think to explain this is that in my vows to Robbie I promised to continue being his best friend. Nobody acted like this was odd or special, and I feel like it's a pretty common thing to put in vows. So I'm not sure why Robbie's family seems to have clung to it, unless it has nothing to do with everything. I've spoken to Robbie about this too, and he is also perplexed by it. He asked his parents privately about it and they gave him the same answer they've been giving me. It all just feels like some sort of bullying behavior to me, but I've never felt a sense of this from them before. Are they calling me his best friend because they don't like the fact I'm his wife? Or is it some inside joke they've been in on without me? I'm not sure what to do or make of it, especially because the in-laws are acting like it's not an issue when I bring it up. Yes, I am Robbie's best friend, but I'm also his life partner. I don't know what to do. Update, October 20th, 2024. Unfortunately for my relationship with Robbie's family, shit has hit the fan. Yesterday afternoon, Robbie and I were invited over to his parents' house for dinner. I have a big project due this week at work, so I needed to stay home and wrap it up. I told Robbie to go catch up with his family while I order a pizza. Apparently, this is when Robbie decided he was going to set things straight and figure out why his mom and sister keep referring to me as his best friend. Please keep in mind that I'm telling this story based on the details that my husband has given me. Robbie had a normal dinner with his folks, but they were all drinking a bit more than usual. Robbie decided to bring over some scotch that one of his groomsmen gave him for a wedding gift, so him and his dad were especially loose. Robbie and his dad tend to have guy time together after dinners where they hang out in his dad's garage and talk about car stuff and projects at home/work. This is where Robbie confronted his dad about the whole situation. From what I can tell, it took some coaxing to get this information out of him, but eventually he admitted to Robbie that my mother-in-law and sister-in-law and him were all in on some sort of a bet as to how long mine and Robbie's marriage was going to last. Father-in-law bet that we would stay together, whereas mother-in-law bet less than 1 year, and sister-in-law bet less than 6 months. Apparently there was a cash prize involved. I don't really want to know how much it was. Father-in-law admitted that he believes the whole best friend moniker was a way to get under my skin and cause doubts about my relationship with Robbie and his family. They think that if they acted like it was a non-issue for long enough, that it would drive me crazy and start making me angry at Robbie for not intervening. Robbie then says he stormed into the house to confront his mom about this all. It ended in a screaming match between Robbie and his parents. Robbie eventually stormed out and walked to a nearby gas station, and from there he called me for a ride since he couldn't drive. This morning, when I drove Robbie back to get his car, we had a horribly awkward confrontation with his parents. Mother-in-law is apparently pissed at father-in-law for betraying the secret, and they were fighting about it all night. Father-in-law will be staying with us in our extra bedroom for a couple days, or until they can calm down and talk to each other again. Robbie is now set on going no contact with his mom and sister. He is angry with his father but is more willing to forgive him. Personally, I would prefer if we saw a family therapist before doing this, but we are still ironing out the details. Hopefully we can get through this with both marriages intact.
Good on him, and what the f is wrong with the women in his family? I tell newlyweds all the time, take things their friends, family, and co-workers say with a grain of salt because you don't know what agenda they are really working, and it's often not really for your best interests.
Wow. Listen. If your husband is set on going no contact with his mom and sister, respect his decision. You seem like you're trying to play peacemaker, but they have horribly disrespected you and your marriage. What they did was all kinds of up. Even father-in-law is an asshole for his part in it, even if he was the only one on your side, sort of. Family therapy only works and helps if all parties involved are willing to try, but it frankly sounds like the women hate you, want you gone, and will never give you or your marriage a chance.
While the way they're treating you is abhorrent and not something I would do to a stranger or even someone I dislike, it's a whole nother level of messed up to try to sabotage their son's/brother's marriage on purpose. What kind of monster actively tries to wreck their family member's life to win a bet? Gross.
Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe Reddit listener.